Today on MuscleCar, with cut-off tools, 5 boxes of Clecos, a little of this,
boom chicka wow wow,
some of that, and 200 pounds of pudding, Lou made another show.
Some of you may recognize our refabbed, realigned, repainted, not to mention repowered frame for our soon-to-be restored 67 LeMans. Now I just got our body back from the blaster and we're going to see exactly how accurate our parts list was. Now every time I say the word blaster, you guys who prefer to do chemical dipping bombard me with emails. Well, let me tell you, it's all personal preference, and here's why I prefer to blast. If this car were dipped, you'd have some really clean loose metal. But the media blasting blows away everything that would fall off in the next couple of years, and it's the only true picture of what you're working with. We knew the floor pans were shot, but because blasting shows weak metal better, we found somewhere we didn't expect. And a real surprise, we looked here but couldn't see how bad it was till the media took it away. Sometimes well-sealed mud will stay during dipping. All our mud is gone, so we can see problems like this. Hey, I don't care how you do it. You already know how I'm gonna do it. The bottom line, a lot of this car needs to be cut out. So today, all of this will become part of the LeMans. Since this is a frameless body, we'll need to distribute the load so it doesn't buckle. The floor bracing still looks good. We'll mark up the floor so we don't destroy one. This looks like a plastic surgeon's layout for a facelift. Probably for your favorite has-been celebrity. Let the surgery begin. We already laid in a new floor panel to see what to cut out. The tin left on the bracing is spot welded. They make a tool for that. We both agree a drill bit is faster. We got really lucky. As bad as these floors were, normally you'd have to drill out these spot welds, lift up the rocker, slide the floor underneath, and reattach it. But being that this is solid on the edge, all we're gonna do is lay down the floor and weld it up. One last comment about plastic surgery. Do they really think that they're fooling anybody but themselves? We should all age gracefully, like our producer Don. Year one supplied most of the parts for this project, like these pans. They're slightly oversized and need to be trimmed, along with a little bit of the floor. Then we can mark the underside to determine where the rosette holes will need to be, some weld-through primer in the braces, and it's time to weld them in. These pans fit good, but not perfect. They may not lay on the bracing flush, but some self-tapping sheet metal screws will draw up the gap. There's a lot of holes and gaps to fill, but this gets rid of about 30% of our rust. Here goes another 60. When we bought the car, we knew all this had to go. A little bracing will keep what's left from collapsing. There you have it. We saved the firewall, the rockers, the roof, the B-pillars. The rest is trash. Now you guys are probably thinking, these guys bought a parts car. But the rarer a car gets, the more we're willing to do to save one. You'll see more after the break. We're back. So far we offended car dippers, cut out all the rotten flooring, made fun of plastic surgery, replaced the floor, laughed at our producer, and cut away the entire rear half. That's what's left of the car. Well, almost. The rest of the parts are over here, and the wheelhouses are next. We need to test fit these wheelhouses to see if any modifications need to be done. They're a two-piece design, so I'm going to assemble them first. We're using Clecos to hold them together temporarily. If you've never seen these before, they work like a pop rivet, but you can install and remove them as needed. All the rear tin work will be based off of these. And since the inner quarter is the only consistent part of the car that's left, they're our reference point. We're going with a larger wheel and tire combo, so I'll widen these out to be safe. I'll use some tape as a guide. Now I can start cutting up these brand new tubs. Brent's making these extensions that'll add 1 inch to the tubs. And the flanges will make it easier to weld. With the inner wheelhouse lined up, I'll hold them in place with some more Clecos and then do the same to the outers. Weld them up, smooth them out. It's better to do this while they're out of the car than when they're in. Since we made the tubs wider, something needs to be made smaller, like the rear floor pans. With 1 inch off of each side, that'll do it. We need to save the lip to mount the welds to by simply sliding them underneath and welding them in. Even the factory overlapped them here in the middle. Now nobody's remaking this part of the trunk pan, so saving it's my only option. Plus, it's not as bad as it looks. These corners were shot, but an easy repair. They too need to be 1 inch shorter on each side for the tubs. Looks like the number of saved parts just grew by 1. It's finally time to hang our quarters, and it's starting to look like a LeMans again. Like everything else, a little trimming is in order. Since we're going to attach it on the body line, we've got to cut our panel on the body line. Then we're going to cut it 1/4 of an inch in from the door seam. These panels are designed to overlap the B-pillar, the rockers, and beyond the body line. That'd be the easy way to do it. We're taking the high road and button the panels together. That way she won't have any unsightly seams from overlapping metal. And it won't give that funk any chance to get in there and rot it out. Because you want to keep that funk out of your seams. And I don't mean boom chicka wow wow. All that welding will come later. It's still Clecos for now. It's time to protect the engine and chassis, because it's going back under the body. We cut so much out of it, it would be real easy to screw up the entire rear third if it doesn't align with the frame. And more polyurethane bushings. If you're a true car guy, you probably noticed these custom 18-inch aluminum matrix by Intro. 10-inch wide in back, 7-inch up front, and BFG KDWs for rubber. It took a few weeks to get them, but it was well worth the wait. And I hope you guys can see the vision that we're going for. Something sexy, yet strong, but still all LeMans. And we're going to continue on it later on in the show.
This week's MuscleCar Flashback, the 1970 Ford Torino.
It's the early 70s, and in the world of NASCAR, Plymouth Superbirds and Charger Daytonas dominated the super speedways. If you were lucky enough to outrun one and grab the checkered flag, then you probably had a crew chief who could build one nasty stock car, or a driver with serious skills. Sometimes you needed both. Ford's Torino Talladega and the Mercury Division Cyclone Spoiler 2 were going toe-to-toe with them, but they didn't exactly get the results they were looking for. Ford needed a solution to the Mopar threat, so a more aerodynamic Torino was called for. Redesigned for 70, the Torino Cobra hit the track to go up against Mopar's Winged Warriors. It had some success on the short tracks, but the aerodynamics just weren't enough to make the difference on the big tracks. A longer wheelbase and bigger body made it heavier, forcing drivers to use the 69 models. What it lacked on the track, it made up for on the street. This snake had plenty of venom, and its strike was fast enough to put a hurting on some of the meanest muscle cars. Less than 7,700 of these were built, so if you run across one at a car show, it's pretty rare. To find one on the streets, good luck. This one belongs to Mike Cunningham, and he has no problem driving this one in its natural habitat, the road.
They made 7,675 of these back in 1970, which the Torino at the time was a Motor Trend Car of the Year.
Out of 39 factory color choices, this one is Grabber Green. If the paint didn't get your attention, the standard black hood with rotary lockdowns and ram air shaker did. Dual exposed headlights, blacked out grille, sleek body lines, and Magnum 500 wheels give this ride one sinister look. The Sport Roof, or Fastback, was an aerodynamic design. The window louvers were a factory install. And if you happen to come across one of these at a red light, there's a warning sticker on the lower fender.
429 had 3 different versions of it: the Thunder Jet, the Cobra Jet, and then the Super Cobra Jet.
This 429 was the new 385 engine series for 70. It's packing 370 horse with 450 foot-pounds of torque. A hydraulic cam and hydraulic lifters topped off with a Rochester 4-barrel carburetor.
It was a pretty good performance engine for almost a 2-ton car.
A top load of 4-speed with a Hertz shifter made it good for mid-14s at around 102 miles an hour. All black interior with vinyl bucket seats, Cobra badging on the doors, a redesigned dash, and check out this ribbon tag. That was optional. This Torino's got it where it counts. It may not have been what Ford was hoping for on the track, but on the street and strip, you don't want to mess with it. If you ever run across one of these, take Mike's advice. Leave it alone.
This car does scream performance when you let loose of it.
If you think he's talking trash, then maybe a demonstration will clear things up for you. Hey, don't go anywhere. MuscleCar will be right back. Glad you made it back. So far, we cut away about 70% of our LeMans, tubbed out the wheel wells, laid some flooring, and started the quarters. Finally, rolled the chassis back under it and bolted them up. 12 new braces and panels will replace 4 body mounts, support the trunk pans, gas tank, wheel wells, quarters, and rear panel. And this is all that's left of our parts pile. We couldn't go any further till we got the chassis in place, because the rear third of this car is literally held in place by all the Clecos. We left the old rear body supports in for now, just to keep things lined up. The forward mounts are next, and again, a little off the sides to make way for the tubs. The same goes for the outer trunk pans. Again, reusing the lip is important. We'll bolt the body mounts in, recheck that the frame rails are level, tie the braces together, position the side pans. Now, sandwich them both to the wheel wells. We can tell we're doing a good job since the inner panel fits so nice. Some things we just have to remake, like this indention will be fun. Some 1-inch tubing, clamps, angle iron will do the trick. You gotta admire a guy who trusts his work this much. Not to mention his faith in Clecos. 200 pounds of pudding. 6 parts on, 6 left to go. We're bracing the fenders together because the rest of the rear is coming out. Don't forget to salvage the things you can't buy, including these body mount nut cages. We can save one, but the other's trash. But that's okay. The fun is in the creation. We knew these tabs were shot, and we'll make new ones later. For now, they'll hold the panel in place. And yes, it's for a GTO. We'll fix that too. Since things seem to be aligned here too, it's safe to put in our side panels that's secure to the quarters. Another panel needs making with some rather odd bends. It's the trunk pan extension. Ours was shot. We'll leave a slight overhang till the bumpers are pre-fit. The last two braces help tie the pans together, and it also gives the tank something to hang from. Everything to this point has fit really well, but now the true test, the trunk deck. It's really close, but not quite perfect. And that's why we burned through almost 200 Clecos. We're not welding it up till it's spot on. We kept our word, our pile of parts is gone. And our LeMans got a facelift, a tummy tuck, it even got some lipo. Now next week we're gonna deal with something that you guys are probably dealing with at home, tin worm carnage. Until then, keep the rust out of your seams. Later.